Former President Donald Trump is once again screwing Republicans in the most hilarious way. So I'm going to show you what he is doing now. And I'm also going to give you a couple other examples of how he has screwed not only Republicans, but also his own supporters. But first here, so right now there's this big debate within the right about should Trump announce next week that he is running for president. So this headline here from The Guardian: rift in Trump's inner circle over 2024 presidential campaign announcement. With the ex-president facing heat for the GOP's midterm washout, there is conflict on if he should hold off next week's event. So he's expected to announce that he is running for president again on Tuesday. So right after the midterms, a week after he's getting a lot of the blame for the result in the midterms. And there is a race coming up. There is going to be a runoff between Warnock and Walker in Georgia. It's a big Senate race, and Republicans, for good reason, are worried that if Trump announces, then that will even further put pressure on Democrats to come out and vote for Warnock in this Senate race and potentially suppress the vote for Walker. But there's more. So not only is Trump, putting aside those fears, he does not care at all about how his announcement may impact the race in Georgia. Not only is he doing that, but he's also using the race to fundraise for largely himself. So this is incredible. I'm going to zoom into this screenshot here, this phone, this email, so you can get a clear look. But as Jacob Rubashakin, I apologize for the mispronunciation, but this is a reporter and analyst for Inside Elections, formerly NBC News, CNN. He writes here: Trump just sent out a fundraising email for Herschel Walker that says, quote, contribute any amount immediately to the official Georgia runoff fundraising goal and increase your impact by 1,200%. And then the donation auto defaults to splitting it 90% to Trump and 10% to Herschel Walker. All right, so look at this email. This is amazing. So here's the email, and then you go down. You have to actually click on the button where it says "click here for details" or to edit allocation, because it's not going to show you straight up how it's cutting the donation. But if you do happen to look at the fine print and click on that URL, it then shows you how it splits the percentage of the donation here. So this one for $100, 90 going to Trump and only $10 going to Herschel Walker. And again, you only see that if you click the link below the donation button. Truly amazing. Trump not only cares about when he's announcing and how that may impact Herschel Walker in his race, but also that he is using the race to largely give himself money. It is incredible what Trump gets away with while continuing to maintain support from the Republican base. So here's some other examples here. This is a major one. Trump's raising of $250 million for a fund that did not exist suggests possible fraud. So I covered this back in November 2020. You can see my pandemic hair here. Official Election Defense Fund. This is the way Trump was raising money after the election, after he lost, to have, as he was telling his supporters, to try and defend the results in the election in terms of him thinking he won the election and trying to fight the results. Well, the reality is that money was just going to him. And I discussed a lot of that back then, but it became even more clear. There was no fund dedicated to fighting election battles as part of Trump's mendacious and ultimately vain big lie that the presidency had been stolen from him. Instead, the money went into Trump's new fundraising entity, Save America PAC, from where millions of dollars were distributed to pro-Trump organizations, including his own hotel properties and the company that produced the Ellipse rally in Washington on Jan 6, just hours before the storming of the Capitol. So this money, which was supposed to be used to fighting these election battles, really just went to him and his supporters and his hotels. And this was touched on here. I covered this recently in a clip about Fox News turning on Trump. But here's Jesse Waters briefly mentioning this in his primetime piece.
But Trump's sitting on a massive war chest in Mar-a-Lago. Where'd that money go? We don't know.
So that was maybe the first time, and possibly the only time, this will ever be mentioned, but an acknowledgement here that Trump has raised all this money and is not even giving it to Republican campaigns, that, including ones that he claims to have endorsed or that he did endorse. He's just sitting on the money, taking it for himself. It's amazing. Another example here, because this, there are so many examples to pull from in terms of how Trump screws his own supporters, but this is just another one, another high-profile one. Steve Bannon arrested and charged with fraud in connection with We Build the Wall online fundraising campaign. So Steve Bannon pretended to be raising money to try and build this wall on the border. Ultimately, of course, the money went to him and his friends. Federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York arrested and charged the former Trump campaign CEO Steve Bannon and 3 others in a plot to defraud donors out of $25 million in a fundraising campaign they claimed was launched to fund a border wall. So Bannon was accused of using the nonprofit to take more than $1 million out of the fundraiser to secretly pay another co-defendant and cover hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of his own expenses. So he took this money, used it for himself, and what happened? Is he in jail right now? No, because Trump pardoned him. So even though Steve Bannon screwed Trump's own supporters, people that wanted to see this wall built, they really care about the wall, they love Trump. Even though Bannon screwed them, Trump turned around and pardoned him at the end of his term. Now, that isn't the end of the story. So second We Build the Wall fraud trial ends in conviction. So the buddies around Bannon, the guys he worked with, they're getting convicted because, again, they are guilty in doing this. And there is also, as I'll get to, I just showed you this. Yes, convicted. There's also a trial coming up for Bannon. So even though he was pardoned by Trump, that only covers federal charges. So this is now state level charges in New York from in Manhattan. So Bannon trial expected in November 2023. So luckily that isn't the end of the story. We will see, if Bannon does end up getting, convicted for this. But just the amount of ways Trump has screwed his own supporters openly. It's been reported widely. But because Trump claims fake news, no one believes the media. And he does that on purpose because they report on what he has done to his own supporters. The whole thing is a complete mess. It really makes you wonder, what will it take? Can anything happen that will divorce Trump's supporters from Trump?